Should you find yourself being bitten by a snake, your chances of survival will depend on just how fast you get antivenom. Now, numerous organizations are raising concerns around the shortage of antivenom in South Africa. In fact, Minister of Health, Joe Phaahla, has been called in to intervene. Professor Andreas Engelbrecht from the University of Pretoria and the National Snakebite Advisory Group joins us now from Pretoria to tell us more. Andreas, welcome. And I suppose the first question would be, what is antivenom?
Antivenom is essentially horse serum. It's basically serum that's been extracted from a horse that has been hyperimmunized against snake venoms. It's been purified and then it's administered to somebody that gets bitten by a snake. It's a highly effective treatment, and it's absolutely critical to the management of people that get bitten by snakes.
And how much of it, Andreas, do we have in South Africa at the moment?
We've got about, a stockpile of about 1,000 vials of antivenom. I'm not giving you a 100% exact number. I'm just giving you the information that I have available to me.
Sure.
But that is, it's been distributed to various places, but it's not enough. You can imagine there's literally how many hospitals there are in South Africa that actually need to have antivenom. There's also other facilities that need antivenom. For example, there is, the people that actually milk the snakes to get the venom to the SAVP that produces the antivenom. All these facilities needs antivenom if one of their staff get bitten. We need the veterinary people needs antivenom because dogs go out in the veld, they get bitten by snakes. So actually there's a huge demand. Then there's also other countries around us. For example, all of our neighboring countries need this antivenom. Countries north of us need this antivenom. So it is a huge demand, and the production plant is simply not, in my opinion, and the opinion of many of my colleagues, is simply not capable of producing adequate amounts of antivenom, and we are very concerned about it because it's really a life-saving treatment. And anybody, people think they are safe just because they live in big cities, like, for example, where I live in Pretoria. But there's cobras, there's mambas, there's boomslang, there's puff adders all around, and we see people are getting bitten even in rural, in urban areas. Never mind all the rural areas where people go out in the veld to be involved in agriculture and all their daily activities. So it's actually quite a dangerous situation.
I want to pick up on that last point, Andreas. I mean, when we talk about the types of snake bites, which are the most common that you can share with us this morning, just for the benefit of our viewer this morning who is either in a rural area or urban, and you've just mentioned that there exist snakes in our backyard and sometimes we're not even aware?
I think the most common snake bites are probably going to be your puff adder bites and your Mozambican spitting cobra bites, in terms of venomous snakes that must be treated with antivenom. But we also see a lot of non-venomous, or not non-venomous, but venomous snake bites, but ones that don't necessarily need antivenom, for example, stiletto snake bites, which is very common. But that being said, black mamba bites, Cape cobra bites, snouted cobra bites, those neurotoxic bites are by no means uncommon. Even the traditional sort of view that boomslang bites are not common, it is true, but we do see a lot of boomslang bites as well. So it's really those bites that are of great concern to us.
And what happens, Andreas, if I find a snake in my backyard? I know my mother believes in having and petting a cat. My dad, the same. They're both from rural Polokwane and Natal. But as a professional, I'd like you to advise a South African who's watching us this morning, should they find either of the snakes that you've just mentioned lurking about in the garden, in the kitchen, God forbid, in the toilet, or anywhere in the house, what should we do?
Look, the first thing is we see a lot of people being bitten when they start to interfere with snakes without having the appropriate equipment. If you want to handle a snake, you need to have the right equipment. Even if, and we don't want people to just run around killing snakes, because in the process of killing snakes, people often get bitten. So if you do have a snake, or you do find a snake on your property, it is best that you contact an appropriate snake handler, and there's ones all over the country. It's easy to get hold of them if you search for them, and then you basically just get them to bring the appropriate equipment. They've got tongs, they've got hooks, they've got containers. They come, they take the snake and they remove it and they release it somewhere far from where people live in nature, where they can live out their lives in nature. And that's the appropriate way to manage it. Keeping a cat or a pet might be one way to deal with it. But generally speaking, if you don't want snakes on your property, the best methodology is really to just get rid of all the rubble, all the things where rats can sort of come. Because whenever you have rats or pests on your property, then you're actually attracting snakes. So that is the best way. Is keep your property very clean. Don't have a lot of rubble and things lying around. Then you won't have a lot of rats, and then the snakes won't come there to catch rats.
I hear you, and I'm going to heed that call, Andreas. Where there's rats, you'll find snakes. Very good advice coming through this morning. What sort of challenges exist, Andreas, with the storage of anti-venom? And I imagine the delivery would also be part of that question as well.
Absolutely. Look, in the first place, we have to compliment the SABP for producing an excellent product, right? So we're not arguing or debating the fact that our SABP anti-venom is absolutely fantastic anti-venom. We who work in clinical practice use it on a daily basis to treat snake bites, and we're very satisfied with the kind of anti-venom. The problem is that, with the current situation of interrupted electricity supplies, that has had a huge impact on the production plant. The production plant probably needs some modernization, needs some update. We might need a second plant maybe, so that we can actually comply with the demands. We need to look at manpower at those plants, to make sure that there's enough people, that there's senior people there, that it's prioritized, because, it's very easy for a big organization not to prioritize something like anti-venom production, because anti-venom production is not only here in South Africa but all over the world. It's not a very profitable business. It's a very important business for health. So it's easy to sort of it's not maybe one of the biggest money spinners or something like that, but it is certainly very, very, very important. It needs high prioritization. We need very good people there, and by all means, the people that are there are excellent, but they need to be supported. They need to get the prioritization that they need. In terms of the storage of this anti-venom, obviously it is a serum, so it needs cold storage. That means that that it needs fridges and things that's got a good power supply to keep it cold. Otherwise, we can lose anti-venom if you don't have a good cold chain to preserve it. So that is another issue.
Great. Thank you so much, Andreas. Professor Andreas Engelbrecht, for just enlightening us this morning and just giving us all that information that we much need should we find ourselves in the presence of a snake. Because there's the belief as Africans that if you see a snake in your household, it's possibly your ancestors. And as we've just learned from a professional, it's not always the case. So thank you so much, Prof.